Hey folks, David here. I'm finally getting back to this incline project, and I'm going to do some painting and some partial assembly today. I'm going to show you how this goes together. I had to put this together, the lower station, and actually what I was afraid of actually did happen is I put all these parts together and some of them didn't line up, so I actually had to cut a bunch of new parts and redo that. So now I'm happy with what I have there on the lower station, and that's all good. So I'm going to paint this black, and these two things will be gray. I promise you this is not going to be a long painting video. I'm going to do this real quick, okay? And then we'll get on to the assembly. This is satin black that I'm putting on here. Okay, got that all done. Then I need to paint the upper and lower stations, and I'm going to paint that with some gray. Smoke gray is what it says on the can. I was hoping to find some satin or semi-gloss, but all I could find is the gloss, and that should work just fine. So let's get some paint on that. Okay, got the upper station painted. That looks pretty good. We'll start on the lower station. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. I'm going to have to let this dry and then flip it over, do the other side of this, the other side of that, and see what else I missed on this, if I have to touch it up, do some other spots to it. So I'll do some more painting, and then we'll get to the assembly. Okay, rinse and repeat. You're not going to see any of that in there. It'll be covered. Got this painted here. Took a couple of coats on some of these things, and I think I'm going to have to go back and touch up part of this, but that's okay for now. So now I'm going to move on to part of the assembly here and show you what has to be put together. So this is going to be the top, goes up here. So I made this bracket right here, and it's at a 30-degree angle right here. Sorry if you missed that. So that's what this is. That's 3D printed. So what's going to happen is that's going to go there, and then what that'll do is keep this at a 30-degree angle. A lot of this I'm going to have to put together and then take apart again and then put other things together. Also on the top here, this is the top station. So I have these little mounts that I made for the pulleys. And we have two on the top and two on the bottom. So that's going to go, there's going to be one like here and one there, okay? And then this one's a little bit different the way it's made. It's open at the bottom so that the string can go through. So then that's going to go, let's see, on the bottom like that. So that is how that's going to go. And yeah, there's a little bit of play in here, and that's all right, because actually what happens is that's not going to need to move, but the incline will keep that perfectly where it needs to be. and that won't be a problem. And I put just a touch of glue on the ends here. So these parts, you know, including the pulleys, this is all 3D printed, except for, of course, the pin that's in the middle there. So that's that part. So I've got to drill some holes in this and mount these guys here on the top, and then mount these guys on the bottom. So yeah, that notch is in there because the string is going to go around and then through that notch, and that's how that's going to go. So this here is the pulley assembly. Okay. Now I just mounted it to this board for testing purposes and demonstration. I'm going to have to, that gear needs a little bit of filing and smoothing out, but I just kind of did this for testing and show you how this works here. So I've got to go back and look at these motors here. So that's a 6-volt motor. I tried a 12-volt and that spins too fast. So I've got to experiment with, you know, the 6-volt and 12-volt motors, and do I use a 9-volt supply or 12-volt supply or what? So this is going to be the Incline. Let's see if we can do this and keep it in the picture. So basically this is going to mount here, but not with this piece of wood. In other words, I'm going to unscrew it from the piece of wood and just screw it directly to this. So it's on there so you can actually see what's going on. If I, you know, all these parts are black, and if I put it on there, you won't be able to see what's going on. Plus, like I said, this is kind of a mock-up for testing. And this is all 3D printed. And these two, the side pieces are separate piece, and the middle here is a separate piece. And then I made these mounts here. That's all 3D printed. And the motor mounts 3D printed. So yeah, that's going to go on there like that. Well, here it's going to go kind of, it's going to go like that. Okay, and directly to this. The other part that I wanted to do, and believe it or not, I can't do it. I need 6 pieces of good track, and believe it or not, all this track that I have, every single piece either has a broken tie or has paint on it or is mangled in some way or another. So I'm going to have to wait until the next train show to get some more HO track that that looks decent. So I don't want to put junk on here. So yeah, I've got to mount this here. So there's going to be 3 pieces each side. And then at the top of it, in here underneath one of these, I have to put this together, see where the cars are going to hit, and then mark where I'm going to put the, there's a reed switch that'll go underneath the ties there. And you'll see when I get to that. So yeah, there's a lot of parts here that I'm going to put together, and then I've got to take apart again to put other things together. So that's kind of how this goes. In other words, you know, I'm going to have to put the track on here, figure out where those switches are going to go, take it off, put the switches in, then flip it over, put this assembly on here, because I can't put the track on it with this on the bottom. And then I'll have to put those pulley mounts up here, and then put this together, and then put this together in here like that. Okay, so this is how this is going to go together. And then I need to cut a piece of wood to support this here. And we'll talk about that when we get to that part of it. Okay, I've got to mount some things on here. Got to get some track that's good, mess with the reed switches. I went ahead and drilled some holes in here to mount these pulley assemblies. So you can see how that goes through there like that. If you can see, if my hand's not in the way. Hold on. Like that, okay? So this hole is for the string to go through, and those are the 2 mounting holes. And the top one, these holes line up, you know, these holes line up with these ones here. So when you put them together, they fit perfectly like that. So let me finish this. I'll put these pieces on, and mock this up a little bit and show you where we're at. Okay, now it's starting to look like something here. So I cut a piece of wood here at 30 degrees just to, you know, get this roughly where I need it to be. This isn't perfect because this piece that I'm working on here isn't perfectly flat and level and everything. But that gives me a rough idea where we're at, and that is looking pretty good. I'm happy with it. I am going to have to go back and do some painting touch up here on the edges here and here. And like I said, I've got to wait till I get some track for this part. And I have a little bit of work to do on this assembly here before that goes under there and gets mounted properly. Yeah, so that's where we're at on this project. We're moving right along. So I've got to wait until I get track. That's probably going to be a couple of weeks. So I will probably not have another video for this in about 3 weeks. So if you don't see something, don't get impatient. It's coming. This is what I'm using for the string on that. I used a piece of brown string just to show you how it works. If I had black, then it would get lost, but I am going to use the black. This is just something that you would use to make a necklace, you know, put beads on it for kids. So that actually works out pretty good. It's nice strength and just the right thickness, so that works out pretty good. All right, so that's where we are, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks with a little more progress. And thank you everyone for watching.